Imagine climbing nearly 1,000 feet underground. There's no electricity, no flashlight, and no emergency exit signs. Every swing of your pick depends on one thing: light. Welcome back to Dustin Off History, where we take ordinary historical objects and uncover the stories that made them extraordinary. Today, we're looking at two pieces of mining equipment: a forged iron miner's candlestick and what appears to be a guy's dropper carbide lamp. Let's start with the older of the two objects, the candle spike. This simple tool may look crude, but every feature had a purpose. Let's take a closer look. The business end of this tool is the long, forged spike. Rather than simply setting a candle on the ground, a miner could drive this spike into a wooden support beam or wedge it into a crack in the rock that kept the light elevated and exactly where it was needed. One thing you may notice is that this example is actually missing a piece. Originally, there would have been a small metal cup attached here to hold the candle securely. Over the decades, it likely rusted away or broke off, leaving only the base behind. I'll put a photo of the complete example on screen so you can see what it would have looked like when it was in use. Finally, there's this large forged loop. It made the holder easier to carry, easier to pull back out of timber, and easier to hang when it wasn't in use. Like many old tools, it's simple, but every part exists for a reason. Candles were dim, smoky, and messy, but for generations, they were the only practical source of portable light underground. Compared to the candlestick, this almost seems modern. Every feature had a job. Based on the surviving lettering, this appears to be a guy's dropper carbide lamp. Like we did with the candlestick, let's now examine this lamp in a bit more detail. The first thing that catches my eye is this large reflector on the front of the lamp. It may seem like a simple piece of metal, but it served an important purpose. Without it, much of the flame's light would be wasted behind the miner. By reflecting that light forward, it helped illuminate the tunnel ahead, making it easier to spot loose rock, tools, or hazards in the darkness. At the center of the reflector is the burner itself. This is where the acetylene gas exited the lamp and was ignited. One of the biggest advantages of carbide lamps was the quality of their light. Instead of the soft yellow glow of a candle, acetylene produced a bright white flame that allowed miners to see much farther into the tunnel. This cap on the top of the lamp covered the water reservoir. Before heading underground, the miner would fill this chamber with water. It may not sound remarkable, but without water, this lamp simply wouldn't work. Water was just as important as the fuel itself. This small adjustment knob is actually one of the most important parts of the entire lamp. It controlled how quickly water dripped into the carbide chamber below. A faster drip produced more acetylene gas and a brighter flame. Slowing the drip reduced the flame and conserved fuels. In many ways, it was the miner's brightness control. This hook tells us something about how the lamp was actually used. Rather than carrying it in their hands all day, miners commonly attached lamps like this to a cap, a jacket, or another piece of equipment. That allowed them to keep both hands free for swinging a pick. Another thing worth noticing is the material itself. This lamp is made primarily of brass. Brass resists rust much better than ordinary steel, which made it well suited to the damp conditions found underground. That's also one of the reasons so many of these lamps have survived for more than a century. The lamp worked by allowing water to slowly drip onto calcium carbide. That reaction produced acetylene gas, which traveled to the burner and created a bright white flame. The carefully controlled drip is where the dropper name comes from. Without reliable light, mining in the American West would have been far slower and far more dangerous. Tools like these helped miners extract resources that built towns, railroads, and industries. When I hold these today, I don't just see old metal. I think about the people who trusted them every day. These weren't collectibles, they were survival equipment. Sometimes the most important inventions aren't the biggest or most famous. Sometimes they're the quiet tools that made everyday work safer. If you know the exact model of this lamp or have additional information, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks for watching Dustin Off History.